9 years ago, Nick Krautter released the book, The Golden Handoff. It changed the way real estate agents think about their business, both the departing of their business as well as the growing of their business in a very fast and organic, as well as a very referral based way. That book changed everything for so many agents. Nick's been speaking about this all over the country. Now he's getting ready to release his second edition. We have the good fortune today to invite him onto the show to talk about what has changed in the past 9 years, what he's learned, and what he's going to be able to guide us to now do, both as an agent who may want to retire, as well as an agent who simply wants to adopt the existing database of an agent. This episode is going to change the way you think about growing your business, as well as potentially one day actually retiring.
All right.
Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Podcast, where big thinking, high achieving real estate agents come to build successful businesses and significant lives. All right, welcome back, everybody. Excited to be here. I know Stephanie, my lovely co-host, is as well. Stephanie, hello.
Hello. I'm super excited for today. This is something that I've attempted and had somewhat success in, and I'm excited to learn more about it.
And I'm super excited to welcome Nick Krautter, very good friend of mine. For the past 9 years, he and I met because he'd authored this book. I took special interest in helping him get it out to the world. And now here I am again. I must be really passionate about this topic, Nick. So thanks for coming on the show today. We're excited to really dig into what's changed in the past 9 years.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to share this with all of these folks here.
Good. Awesome. Well, let's get into it. For maybe those, we'll just do a brief little synopsis for those that are hearing about the Golden Handoff for the first time. I'll put it this way. Have you ever been to a real estate agent's retirement party? Crickets, probably nobody, right? Those don't really exist. And what the big problem has been is that nobody's known how to do that, right? Nick, you identified how to do this because you actually began adopting the databases of other professionals who were leaving the real estate industry for one reason or another. Talk us through maybe just kind of the genesis of how this book came about.
Yeah, it was a little bit of just showing up and getting lucky. I went to work every day in an office with, some great agents. And this was in 2010. So I started in 2006, and in 2010, we're in the teeth of a pretty bad recession. And what happened was, there's a lot of turnover in real estate, but in 2010, we started to lose a lot of very good realtors. I think, similar for different reasons than what we're seeing now. And that created this huge opportunity for me as a younger broker who wanted to grow and wanted to put in the work to really just slingshot ahead and to grow my business. I think I shared it earlier, Justin. I spent 14 hours a day, 6 days a week to get 200 clients over 4 years, my first 4 years, from 2006 to 2010. And then by adopting clients from other agents who are retiring or moving or changing careers, I was able to add 2,000 more. So 10x my business. And these aren't leads. I'm not buying leads. These are people that are being referred to me in mass by agents who are transitioning to a different role. And the first one I worked with was a woman named Renee, and she literally had the office next to me. She got out of real estate to get a job in nonprofit fundraising for family reasons. She had had her second child and wanted to be home more. And so we started working together, and every month we would close 1 or 2 deals, and she was getting referral fees. And to put some reality to this, like I found out much later, that her husband had lost his job during the recession, and the only reason they were able to stay in their home and keep their kids in that school district they were in was because the referral fees that I was able to send her were paying the mortgage on that house that they lived in for years. And that made it so much more impactful for me to realize how meaningful that can be. Just 1 or 2 deals a month could, those referral fees add up a lot.
What a powerful concept, right? I hope everybody is awake now who's listening to this, depending upon what part of the world you're in, is that, Nick, you had mentioned that you adopted 2,000 clients in a fraction of the time that it took you to build, to 200 clients? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Just drastically different experience. And I know a question that you would ask, Stephanie, which maybe you want to expound upon, which is, what was the conversion rate between the 2,000 versus the 200? And I thought Nick's answer was pretty startling. You want to kind of dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was lucky with Renee because she had stayed very engaged with her clients, like right up until the day she changed careers. And And so they were still very warm. And so I would say my conversion rate with those clients was the same as it was with my own. And that's really the secret, right? And this works both ways. You're not buying leads. You're getting a referral from one agent for their whole client list. So Renee referred me 300 clients. And so then the next step is that I have to then introduce myself to all these 300 new people as their new realtor. And it sounds weird in real estate, but the thing is, like, your dentist does this and has been doing it forever. Your insurance agents do this. There's so many other industries where succession planning and having a path to selling your business and your client list is part of the industry. And for some reason in real estate, it just hasn't been the case. And when I started doing this, I assumed there was other people doing this. And I reached out to try to learn from other people and found out that there was no model to follow. And so I bought my second business and then my third, and each one was a little different. Stephanie, we were talking before the show about the business that you've taken over, and the first couple that I did were all very different. They weren't just retiring, they weren't just older, they weren't just in the business a long time. There's different stories to each of those relationships, but the important piece is that you can grow exponentially by referral, but you can't do it one referral at a time for one client at a time, right? And this is a way to kind of hack that system where you can still have a referral and have that endorsement, but have it for a ton of people. And so for me, I had been in the business 4 years. Renee had been in the business, I think, 8 or 9. And so the day after I bought that business from her and we started helping those clients, it's like I had been in business for 14 years. That's how powerful this is, because I knew how hard it was to get to 200 clients because I just done it.
Stephanie, you've successfully adopted an agent who was moving into a facet of real estate that they. In fact, why don't you tell the story? And I'd love to hear your observations, and I'm sure you've got all kinds of questions for Nick around this topic. So go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I'll go back because there's two limiting beliefs that come to mind here that I think we've all experienced. And when I was hearing your story, Nick, about how no one had done this before, I recognized probably why I think that had been in the industry. I'll share a story for me when I was in my first year of real estate and I was hanging out at the office around that same time that you got into the business, Nick. There was an older couple. They had been in real estate for a long time, very well known in the area, very successful. And I remember her saying, well, all of my clients are moving into nursing homes, so I guess it's time for me to hang up the hat. And at that time, here I'm in my early 20s, just getting started in real estate. It's like, wow, is that really how it works around here? But I think that there's this limiting belief that a lot of people experience, especially like when we talk to people about building teams or joining teams, is that they think they are the most important piece of the puzzle.
Totally.
That well, my clients would never want to work with someone else because they're here for me and they love me. And what you've done and what several have experienced now is that me relationship can still maintain, and they have an added relationship. And at the end of the day, the client can have that transferred trust. Yeah. Because I've worked with Stephanie and she's been great. And if she's partnered with Nick, then I know he's going to be great. So you have that transfer trust, and we kind of have to remove ourselves from the equation a little bit. But yeah, to go back to your question, Justin, with my experience. So I have adopted a business of an agent that is very long time in the business. I mean, I took on 30 years of client relationships that he has. And because he's moved into another space in the industry that he's focusing on. So, I mean, it's been exactly that transfer trust, where that client is introduced to me and they say, oh, you're partnering with so-and-so now. awesome. You must be just as good as he is. And his introduction to me is like, she's the 20 years ago me, right?
Right,
She
right.
is just as good and if not maybe better, because she's a little younger, a little more ambitious and a little more in the market. So it's just been really, really beneficial for both of us. And I used your model, Nick, to frame our agreement.
And I'd bet, Stephanie, that when you go on listing appointments or meeting with buyers, you're very rarely competing against other agents with those adopted clients. Does that sound right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's no question as to why you guys know why I love this topic so much. I'm not only a big fan of Nick and Stephanie, but like this just reeks of the upstream model, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole premise upon which I've built my career, which is find one person who can open the door to lots of people,
Yeah.
to where that one person who's established all this trust, that trust, as Stephanie mentioned, gets transferred to all these people. And I don't know of a more powerful way that you could actually implement this than with a real estate agent's business. Like, it is the epitome, that, you know, the apex of the upstream model. I absolutely love it. And I think right now there's more opportunity than ever before, right? Obviously, you know, the market has been, I would say, challenging for many agents. And many agents are at a point, if you look at the demographics of real estate, many are ready to be done. They're ready to move on and not go through you know, the headwinds again. And so I do think that there are agents out there who are, by the way, not going to publicize this on Facebook, that, hey, this is hard, I think I'm going to slow down, right? So Nick, what's the best way to find those agents who are maybe thinking like, I just don't want to work this hard anymore. I'm not willing to pay this price anymore. How do you find them?
So, I mean, if it's people you know and you can see that they're slowing down, or what I call phasing out, there's a script I use that I think is really solid, and it's very simple, and it goes like this: you're calling this person who's facing those headwinds and deciding they don't want to fight through another recession or another slowdown, and you basically just say, you know, hey, Justin, you know, I've admired you and your business for years. I was just listening to this podcast about the Golden Handoff, and I'm curious, what are your plans with your business when you're done selling?
Hmm.
And most people are going to say, well, I don't have a plan, or I haven't thought about it, or, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll just refer some stuff to other folks in the office. And that simply doesn't work. There has to be someone putting in the work. And so, Stephanie, like you said, you're the younger, more ambitious version of the gentleman you're helping. And that's the secret of this, is that someone has to put in the work. You know, this is not something that comes without effort. You still have to engage and build relationships and maintain relationships. And the struggle for me in doing this, you know, it's easy to call 200 people a year. It's hard to call 2,000 people a year and stay in touch. And so that forced me into building a team. And for anyone who's listening who's built a team in any way, you've already retired from a bunch of jobs that a solo agent has. Right. So if you have an assistant and marketing person, you've retired from that. If you have a buyer's agent or a showing agent, you've retired from that. You know, I had built a team where we had specialists in every single part of the equation and multiple admins. And so my job was staying connected with clients and helping kind of guide the vision of the team and make sure our clients were cared for. But I wasn't showing homes and going to listing appointments at the end. I was simply helping the agents do a good job doing that. And I was transferring my trust to my team. And so for some people, they'll be able to build a team. But what I'm really excited about with this new addition, and it's been on my mind to do this for a while, because I've been hearing stories from other agents all over the country as I've taught this, on different ways it's being implemented. And so a partial handoff is basically where you can connect with someone who wants to phase out and slow down, and they don't want to work as at the level they once did, which, by the way, is totally fine. It would be a little weird if you were trying to work 15 hours a day in your 80s. That would, I mean, some people are like that, but that's incredibly rare. That's not what I wanted to do. And so it's a way to connect earlier and let the retiring agent, and I use that loosely, but the person phasing out, let them focus on what they want to do with the business, but don't lose all the other clients that they're not going to market to, that they're not going to call, that they're not going to invite to a class, that they're going to stop doing the classes and the events that they used to do. Let someone like Stephanie take over and serve those people, because you're excited about that opportunity that's not a bad stress, it's a good stress. And a way to make sure they have a good agent and you still get referral income. And that's the other piece of this that makes it so easy is the whole model is based on referral fees. So you don't have to have a big chunk of money up front to get started. And that's where this was huge for my business, especially in a recession. We were still growing, but we were growing slowly. And this really was what was our springboard to getting through that and coming out the other side on top.
What does that look like, Nick, when you're doing a partial handoff? Is it just simply this part of the database, I'm going to still continue to work. The rest of this, I'm going to have you adopt. Is it as simple as that?
So I've kind of identified three versions of how this can work. So the first one is a phase out, and that's where the retiring agent keeps the part of the business they want, whether that's a certain list of clients, whether that's I only want to work on referrals in this neighborhood, or I only want to work on listings in this price range, and then everything else someone else is handling. There's a train out where someone like Stephanie, you would join the retiring agent's team and learn from them a specialty, whether that's condos, new construction, luxury homes, historic districts, resort property. So there's a million versions of that too. And then, so there's the phase out where the retiring agent keeps doing what they want to do. And then my favorite is what I call an honorary team member. And that's where they keep an active license and they still talk to people, because that's what I love to do. I love the talking to people and hearing their stories and trying to guide them and give them options of what the best paths forward might be, but then hand it off to the team when they're ready to look at homes or they're ready to do a listing walkthrough and sign paperwork. And so you're still active in engaging with people, but an honorary team member still talks to clients, still engages with people, but then once they're ready to buy or sell, they work with someone else on the team that specializes in that.
Boy, I love that model, Nick. I think I've heard it said that, right, the fastest way to being unhappy and ill is to completely retire. And I think there's a lot of agents out there that have so many really good relationships and so much wisdom that it would be a shame for them just to walk away, right? And
Yeah.
in some situations that makes sense and they're on to bigger and better things. So if someone that's your path and that's your path. But I do think there's a lot who maybe are holding on, like, I don't want to hand off my business because these other options hadn't been brought forward, right? That hadn't been necessarily uncovered. And so as a result, they've not done that. Whereas if they could have that kind of role where it's like what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Where you're able to offer the relationship as well as the wisdom and let the team step in and take care of doing, more of the day to day. That sounds like a great opportunity for many agents.
It's a huge opportunity. And the thing that's crazy is this thing was staring me in the face for years and I didn't recognize it, because guess what the biggest objection I had was in terms of approaching agents whose businesses I wanted to buy? They didn't want to retire yet. They didn't want to like hang it up. And the thing is, like, for some agents, it's a huge part of their identity of who they are. And I think, it's funny, I'm in Scotland right now, and the culture is different here for sure. In America, like, what you do for work is a massive part of your identity. And so for a lot of people, you said, the quickest way to illness is to fully retire. I think that if you lose your connection to the community or you lose your connection to staying mentally engaged and challenged, I don't think that's good for people. I think we're meant to be connected and engaged, and we're meant to be helping the rest of the tribe, right? And real estate's a really direct way to do that. I mean, it absolutely creates, a role where you're a hub of a community, and that's one of my favorite pieces about it. But so the biggest objection I had was, these really wonderful agents who had fantastic businesses that didn't want to hang it up. And the opportunity now with a partial handoff is you don't have to. You can keep doing it. You can keep doing it at your brokerage. You could come over to mine. You could join the team. You could stay on your own team. Stephanie, you're going to find opportunities from people with great teams where no one else on the team wants to take over leadership. And so there's an opportunity to come in as a leader and merge your teams and to, take this idea and really put it on steroids. Because that's another thing I think, you talk about, myths or misunderstandings, is that a lot of people think that once you've built a team that there's going to be someone that naturally wants to take over. And the truth is, a lot of times that isn't the case. That's what happened to me. I had to sell my business to an outside team because I tried for years to kind of groom a couple of people on my team for taking over leadership, and neither of them really wanted to do it. They really liked being brokers. They wanted to stay in that role. And again, nothing wrong with that, but it didn't work that I had someone that within the team that wanted to step up and take over. And so a partial handoff is a great way to kind of, pick a path to working as much as you want on the stuff you want when you want, and letting the rest of your clients be helped by someone else.
Sounds like Nick's getting emotional on this topic. We'll let the thing that I think is an interesting question I'd love to pose is that sometimes people get really passionate about their branding on both sides, right? Nick, is there any ideas you have, or Stephanie, maybe you have this? If somebody, is it always necessary to fold into under one team name and team banner, or can you work and preserve a brand, a separate brand? I don't know. I'm just thinking about the different reasons that could slow people down with this that are probably not important, right?
Yeah, I think probably not important. And I've had some people where they had great brands where I've challenged them on, can you really point to clients that came to you because of your brand that weren't also connected to you through clients or referrals? And it's, for most people, they're not doing enough with branding, because you would have to spend a fortune for that to really work. And most people just don't have the budgets to compete with Pepsi and Coke for people's brain space. I think when you're talking about a regular handoff or a partial handoff, co-branding for a while is a great way to go. And in a lot of cases, it's going to be important to highlight both of those brands to maintain that connection. I mean, a lot of times, so Justin, when I call people, I say, this is Nick. I promised Justin I would call you. So I always reference back to the agent that they know better, because they've known their agent for. So Stephanie, you said the guy you're working with 30 years. So you obviously, every phone call starts with, hi, this is Stephanie. I promised, I don't know his name, but I promised Jeff that I would call you and check in. And that, whether you're connecting to the person or the team name, it doesn't really matter, but that you really want to anchor yourself back to the team or the person that the why you're connected to these new clients is really the best way to stay relevant and to get people to go, oh, great, I'm glad you called, as opposed to, oh, this is a sales call, because it really isn't. This is a client care call.
Stephanie, you're one of the brightest minds in real estate that I know. I know your wheels are turning right now.
Oh yeah.
What questions do you have for Nick that might help unlock this opportunity even more for you and your team?
Yeah, Nick, I love what you're unrolling with the partial handoff, which is what I've been having a lot of conversations around because of exactly what you've identified there. I think actually, let's do this. Let's talk about what I did, because I love your reference there about we've already retired out of some parts of the business if we've brought
Sure.
on help or leverage. What I did when I decided to build a team is I made a list of, here's everything I love doing. Here's everything that I'd be fine if I never had to do again. So what if if we've got someone listening that's saying, this sounds like something that would be a great fit for me. That would be my recommendation to that person, is to say, why don't you make a list of, in my phased retirement or in my phase out plan, I would be fine doing these things for the next 3 years. But, letting a contractor into a house at 6 a.m., I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And, the emergency calls or the freak out calls or whatever, I don't want to do those things anymore. I don't want to be on call at dinner time to show every house anymore, whatever that is. If somebody were to start with that, they would probably be able to identify who they should be partnering with. And I'm a big fan of roles, responsibilities, and results. So when you've identified that with the person you're partnering with, then everyone has a standard to be held to. So Nick, the question I have for you is, if someone's considering this, maybe they know a life change is coming up. Maybe they know they're having a baby in the next 6 months and they want to take a step back from their business. Maybe they know they're going to be relocating. Maybe they are looking for a different pace of life, or they have a life change. There are lots of reasons why someone would consider this. It's not just retirement. So if someone is identifying that in themselves, what would be their phase out plan and then their phase in plan with the person that they're partnering with, and how far out should they be projecting these things?
First of all, I love that. I used to call that a not to-do list. And I think it's a great way to like get clarity with a a retiring agent, or for you too. What am I taking over? What are you doing? I think the sooner the better. And I would say the bigger the client list, how longer you've been in business, um, the more time you have, the smoother it goes, and the sooner you can take over before the energy level of that retiring agent's dropped and they haven't been staying as engaged, the better the results for both people. So the more clients are going to stay with you, your conversion rate's going to be better, your client retention rate's going to be better, which means more referrals for the retiring agent. I think, what I've heard, so the book has a whole chapter of interviews that I did with people all over the country who've used partial handoffs. And one of the themes that comes up over and over again is that they would be taking time to talk to people about this. And then as soon as they started engaging and taking over a little bit of the business and taking care of some of the clients, that a lot of people decide, hey, this is going great. Why don't you just take over everything? This is actually, I think what people want is they want to take, for better, lack of a better word, to Stephanie, like if I'm an adopting agent or you're the adopting agent, they want to take us for a test drive and make sure that we're going to follow through and that their clients like us and that it's going to work. Because the biggest fear and where things fall apart is if you are good at selling a retiring agent on working with you, but then you don't follow up with the clients and you don't do a good job taking care of them, it won't work, right? So you have to have a retiring agent who stayed engaged and built real relationships. And you have to have an adopting agent who is engaging and doing all of the steps of a marketing plan. And I think that's a really key piece, is that you need a marketing plan that says, I'm going to call twice a year. I'm going to invite people to these events. I'm going to send my newsletter in the mail, or I'm going to send my email newsletter on this frequency, so that it's really clear what the expectations are both ways. And I would say, yeah, so at least, I mean, a year out would be great. But if you're already phasing out, if you're listening to this and you're, God, I haven't really called people. No one's perfect. I wasn't perfect. It's easy to get overwhelmed and get busy and get behind on your goals. And so I would just say, be honest with yourself. And the sooner you make the decision to connect with someone like you that wants to put in the work and take care of those clients at a high level, the better. So the worst thing you can do is feel bad about it and wait longer and longer and put it off further and further. And again, what I love about the partial handoffs is I think people's anxiety about making a decision is they think they have to just completely step out of the way. And that isn't the case anymore. And that's going to help so many people more than the original plan, because the original plan is great when you're ready to hand it off. But so many people want to hang on to a little bit of it and they want to stay in the game a little bit. But that doesn't work for like maintaining the whole client list, right? You're going to lose a lot of people. But if you keep the part you want and do a good job with those people or that type of business, and let someone like you, who's excited about the opportunity of all the other people, take care of that, then you don't have to lose any of it. And that's the thing that's so cool about this new idea.
And I think what it does is it keeps that initiating relationship still very anchored in the new relationship, right? Yeah. It is not a handoff. It's a partnership. It truly is viewed as a partnership from the consumer, which I love. So what would be some identifying factors if someone is maybe recognizing this, that, and I'll just use an example of some competitors in my market that they're starting to lose some business to me. And some of the feedback I'm getting, it's like, yeah, they just don't seem that engaged anymore. Or, I think they're heading into retirement. That's someone that I would love to initiate a conversation with, So, and I see that Brad's got a question here. So this is kind of leading into Brad's question of how do you identify the right fit and where do you find these agents? I mean, that's something that I've identified in my markets, like someone that actually is starting to lose some opportunities to other agents that are a little more ambitious. That might be an agent that we would say, hey, let's create a partnership here.
I think you just nailed it. I think that's a perfect example of someone you would want to approach and offer the opportunity to work together. Now you have to be careful, right? You can say like, "Hey, I'm already getting your clients, so do you want to get some referral fee?" Or I'll just take them all. You don't want to do that. So
Right.
you have to be thoughtful in your approach, which I'm sure you'll be. Um, but I guarantee you, if that's what's going on and that's what their clients think, it's because they're not staying engaged. And so the longer they phase out, so for example, if someone's been doing 50 million in sales a year and now then 30 and then 20 and now they're at 10, that 40 million in sales didn't disappear, right? It's just other agents are helping those clients now. And so the sooner they can connect with someone like you who's willing to stay engaged and willing to put in the work, the more value that agent's business is when they sell it, the more referral fees they'll get, and the better the engagement's going to be from those clients in that transfer of trust and that handoff to you. And they
Mhm.
can, I think for a lot of people, they'd be relieved. So that's an example. So someone that's phasing out, I would say, if you're in a brokerage, letting your broker or manager know that you're interested in taking over businesses, they know who's moving across the country. They know who is having a second child. They know who spouse might get a job transfer and they might have to move. And those people are looking for solutions, and a lot of times the brokerages aren't providing them. Um, I helped a gentleman who worked on a movie project. He's in the book, David. And David, I reached out to him and I didn't really know David that well. He was the same age as me. We're in our early 30s. And I heard that he was going to be leaving town for a year or two. And I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, I've been helping other people with managing their client lists. And I heard you're going to work on this movie project. And I'd love to talk to you about helping your clients while you're gone." And he said, "I've been telling my broker for a year that I need some plan. And they keep just saying, well, just refer stuff, just stay in touch with people and refer." I was like, "I don't have time to do this. I'm going to be working 20 hours a day on this movie. I won't have time to do anything. I need to know that someone's going to take control of this and take charge." And they were so excited that I called them and we put together a deal within a week, maybe less. I think I had a meeting with him and his wife within days. And we agreed to work together at that meeting and took the next steps of sending out the announcement letter and going through the steps that I talk about in the Golden Handoff to have a successful handoff. So there's a lot of different ways that you can connect with people, but the people are phasing out, reach out to them. Let your broker or your team leader know you're interested in doing this and ask. There's already a lot of agents who are in referral networks at brokerages and no one is working their business. How crazy is that?
It's crazy to me that more people haven't adopted this model, Nick. And if you're a broker and you see agents who are maybe at a stage of their career where they're not going to be doing this for much longer, you'd be crazy to not start to take this model and utilize it to attract new agents into your brokerage, because as soon as those agents go, your brokerage is going to whittle away. And I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
also, it's such an attractive magnet to say, hey, I've got agents in my office who aren't going to be doing this forever. I encourage you to come in, build relationships. And I think you could adopt an entire database. Like, it's crazy not to think that way as a broker. Before we get too much further, I want to be sure that everybody that's listening to this knows how to get a hold of your book and the workbook. I believe it's goldenhandoff.com, is it not?
Yep, that's where everything is. So as long as you just remember goldenhandoff.com, you'll be able to find everything. I'll show you. This is the new version of the book. I have the proof in. I just got it.
Love it.
If anyone here is listening to this right now and wants to get the book, I will send you all the new material when the book is released. So if you want to buy the current version or the workbook, don't wait. Get it today. Email me and I will send you the new material once it's released September 3rd. And so I just want to make sure that people know that, they won't miss out. They don't have to wait and they don't have to miss out. But and the new version will be out September 3rd. And I'll be putting updates on goldenhandoff.com. There's some other good tools there I want to mention. There's a calculator that will show you, if you know the number of repeat and referral clients and your average commission, it'll show you what the estimated value is for the adopting agent and the retiring agent, which is really cool. It shows it on, you just put the information in once and it gives you the whole printout on that, which is from the model in the book. And if you sign up on the website, I'll also send you the scripts, contracts, dialogues, marketing pieces, announcement letter, all the stuff that I've used in a way that you can edit it and take those templates and put them to work, today.
It's so valuable. You think about trying to do this on your own, right? Or not doing it is even worse. And just the missed opportunity when you have agents like you have taught for years. Agents just kind of ride off slowly into the sunset, right? They don't make a big announcement, have a retirement party. They just simply quietly go away, and their clients quietly find other agents. And this is a way for you to step in and really help everybody, yourself, your team, potentially, the clients of that agent, and that agent actually have a succession plan, like you said. I've loved this topic for years, and I love it even more now because I think it's even more relevant than it's ever been. Stephanie, any final words from you before we wrap up?
I think that this is just meant to inspire a lot of people to be looking for opportunity. Once we plant that seed in our minds, you're either an agent that is looking for a phase out plan and you're thinking of opportunity now, and you might be thinking about, what would this look like for me? I have gone through the Golden Handoff, through the book and through the process. And I would say it is a great roadmap that it's not a fluff book. That's what I love about it. It's like, here's the numbers, here's what to say, here's what to do, here's what to put in your agreements. And I love that we've got the roadmap already at our fingertips. So just be thinking of opportunity. And if you're an agent that is noticing someone's business is phasing off, maybe because of their age or something that you know of in their life, Nick just gave us a great script of how to approach that person and start a conversation and build a relationship with them. So I just think that this has opened up opportunities for so many people that they haven't even been thinking about. So thank you, Nick.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, great stuff, Nick. I want to thank everybody who's been tuning in today. If you two will stay here for just a bit longer, we're going to wrap up. But I want to thank you all and encourage you that with this model, you can literally think bigger and move faster than you ever have before. So with that, I'm going to give my final 3 simple words, and they are this: go think bigger. Nick, thanks for helping us do that, my friend.
Awesome.
Now, before you go, remember, big thinkers and high achievers take action. Here's one way to do this. Find me on social media and send me in a direct message one aha that you're going to take action upon from today's episode.